Salutations, viewers across the world. I hope you're well. I hope you're fine. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Psalms 118, verse 24. So let's get into the core of our discussion today. Today, we're going to discuss a biological concept, which is the human alimentary canal, right? So the human alimentary canal is also known as the gut tube, is also known as the gastrointestinal tract. This is a tube that runs from the mouth up to the anus. So in this discussion, we are going to look at the anatomy, the basic anatomy of the alimentary canal and its accessory organs. And then we're going to look at the basic physiology of what transpires in each and every region of the human alimentary canal. So let's get into the gist of the story. Right. So the human alimentary canal starts in the buccal cavity. The buccal cavity is also known as the mouth, all right? So the mouth of the buccal cavity has got teeth, right? And if you want to memorize teeth, we can just say, I can pass mathematics. Meaning to say we have the incisors, the canines, the premolars, and the molars, all right? So more details pertaining to dentition is going to be covered in future videos, all right? So what happens in the mouth is that food is broken down mechanically by the action of the teeth. Mechanical digestion is the breaking down of food using physical properties. Not only mechanical digestion, there's also chemical digestion that occurs within the mouth. Chemical digestion within the mouth happens through enzymes. Enzymes are three-dimensional globular proteins that catalyze metabolic reactions in living organisms. And in the mouth, we have salivary amylase. Salivary amylase is an enzyme that digests starch to maltose. For those who are familiar with biochemistry, you know that starch is a polysaccharide, right, which consists of amylose and amylopectin chains, all right, which are held together by what are called 1 to 4 glycosidic linkages and 1 to 6 glycosidic linkages after 25 glucose molecules. All right, anyway, that's a discussion for another day, right? So starch is broken down into maltose and then food is rolled into a bolus, right, by the tongue and the upper part of the mouth. And the food bolus passes into the oesophagus, right? So in the oesophagus or the gullet, this is a tube which runs from the mouth to the stomach. So in the oesophagus or the gullet, there's a process known as peristalsis. Peristalsis, this is the rhythmic contraction. Stalsis, this is the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of muscles in a wave-like motion. So whilst peristalsis is taking place, the food bolus is taken down into the stomach, right? So when we get into the stomach now, in the stomach, we have what are called gastric juices. Right? Gastric juices are produced by the gastric pits, and gastric juices, we are talking of juices that are found within the stomach, and they consist of acids. We have hydrochloric acid, which is responsible for killing pathogens. All right, but there are some stubborn pathogens that can't be killed by HCl in the stomach. We're talking of Salmonella typhi and the Vibrio cholerae for cholera. As we say, right? So we have the acid and then we have the gastroenzymes, right? So the gastroenzymes, we have predominantly the proteases. These are enzymes that digest proteins, right? So in the proteases, we have the enzyme pepsin. In the stomach, enzyme renin, which is responsible for coagulation of milk protein. But within the stomach, enzyme pepsin, or rather the proteases in the stomach, are responsible for breaking down the polypeptide chains, okay? So it's a hydrolysis reaction whereby the peptide bond that holds two amino acids is broken down. And after that happens, we are now moving on to the duodenum. So the duodenum is the part of the alimentary canal where we have the liver coming into play. The liver is a very large and complex organ in the human body which has several functions, which include the production of bile, which is stored within a structure called the gallbladder, right? And among other functions of the liver, we have the storage of glycogen, and we also have storage of glycogen, many other functions. Today I'm going to focus my discussion towards the digestive processes that actually take place within the human alimentary canal. So within the stomach, as I had mentioned earlier on, in the duodenum, you have bile from the liver coming in to emulsify fats. Right, the process called emulsification of fats. This is where fats are broken down into smaller droplets so that there is increase in enzyme. So there is increase in the surface area for enzyme activity that happens from fats. Okay. Right. Within that very same duodenum, you are having enzyme lipase. Enzyme lipase from the pancreas will come and break the fats into fatty acids and glycerol. You understand? All right. So these are the basic nitty-gritties that actually transpire in that regard. All right. So after we've moved from the duodenum, we're now moving on to the small intestines. So within the small intestines, the main role of the small intestines is absorption of food molecules, all right, through finger-like projections, which are called microvilli, which are in proximity to the blood capillaries. So food molecules are moving into the blood capillaries by various processes, which include diffusion, osmosis, active uptake. Osmosis is for water molecules, active uptake is mainly for mineral ions, where the ions are moving against the concentration gradient. And this is an active process that requires energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate. We call that ATP in biology because it is the energy currency for all the living organisms. Also, within the small intestines, we also have digestive enzymes there, right? We have the sucrase, the maltase, etc., and food molecules are broken down into the end products. If they are carbohydrates, they're broken down into glucose. If they are proteins, they're broken down into amino acids. Moving on to the large intestines. In the large intestines, there is absorption of water molecules, all right? Absorption of water molecules occurs in the large intestines, and there's also synthesis of vitamin K also happens within the large intestines. And from the large intestines, we are now proceeding to the rectum. So in the rectum, we are talking of undigested food molecules have now been packaged into a brown fecal matter known as feces. All right, I can't mention the Shona term. They are stored in the rectum, and from the rectum, takanoenda kwazvinopedzisira kunonzi kuanus. Waiziya? Saka kuanus manje basa rayo nderekuti raakubudisa svina yakaenda kuenvironment. Andoeketi. Ndo paunenge wakuzi wapunza gamba. Because unenge warwisa. Igambazve because wawana manutrients abuilda muviri wako, saka iya exhibitira that wamborya takanobuda tiri kuanus takaenda. Waiziya? Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, I hope you have been enlightened with this discussion, and I wish you the best in all your academic endeavors. This is Chico Squared, the Maths and Science Guru. Chako and Dachbabachu.